14 أذار حتى نحقق الحرية التي ننشدها جميعا.
Good afternoon. It is Sunday, March 24th. I'm Yumna Naufal, and these are today's headlines. Interior Minister Marwan Sharbil says the situation in Tripoli is improving as the army deploys following intense clashes in the city. Interior's opposition chief Ahmad Muaz al-Khatib resigns from the National Coalition. And Pope Francis opens the Holy Week as thousands gather at St. Peter's Square to attend his Palm Sunday Mass. Interior Minister Marwan Sharbil stresses that the situation in the northern city of Tripoli is improving. His statement comes after the Lebanese army deployed in both areas of sectarian conflict in Tripoli after intense clashes in northern Lebanon overnight. The national news agency says the army carried out patrols in Tripoli streets and erected several checkpoints. Sharbil noted that the army opened fire at armed men on the streets of the city and detained several others. Around 7 people were killed and 30 others injured in the clashes between the rival neighborhoods of Jabal al-Muhsin and Bab al-Tabbani, including 1 soldier. The minister added that heavy arms will not be used in Tripoli again after the army begins implementing a strict security plan. Prime Minister Najib Mikati says his decision to resign was aimed at ending the political deadlock in the country. In comments published in An-Nahar newspaper, Mikati said his decision to resign was in the interest of Lebanon. He added his move could break the political deadlock and could help finding new arrangements for the situation. Al-Hayat Daily reported that Mikati set conditions for his premiership and noted he will carry out his duties at the Grand Sarai after the Easter holidays. Maronite Patriarch Shaddai is calling on officials to resume national dialogue and to form a government capable of holding parliamentary elections on time in June and maintaining the country's security. On another note, Speaker Nabih Berri also urges the opposition to return to national dialogue to discuss the formation of a government and a new electoral law. The March 14 Alliance suspended its participation in national dialogue following the assassination of a top official back in October 2011 and said it would only return after Mikati's government resigns. Britain is expressing concern over the situation in the country following the resignation of the government and is calling for the formation of a consensual government. UK Foreign Secretary William Hague told reporters that Britain was concerned about the recent clashes between supporters and opponents of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in Tripoli. He praised Mikati for his resignation and called on all parties to prioritize national interests and work to form a more consensual government. Hague also praised the work of a Lebanese security force to maintain peace and protect Lebanon's territorial integrity. Syria's opposition chief Ahmad Muaz al-Khatib has resigned from the National Coalition, a dissident group recognized by dozens of states as the legitimate representative of the Syrian people. The surprise resignation comes just days after the first election in Istanbul of a rebel prime minister titled Ghassan Hito. Khatib had previously told reporters that he would step down if he felt he could no longer serve his country in his current post. And on the ground, rebels fighting President Bashar al-Assad's regime have seized a 25-kilometer strip of land stretching from the Jordan border to the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said fighters loyal to al-Nusra Front took control of a Rai military checkpoint. They also seized several other checkpoints in the area and captured weapons and vehicles. The watchdog added the site, located between the towns of Muzrib near the Jordanian border and Abdin in the Golan, is now out of regime control. Israel's new defense minister, Moshe Yaalon, vows an immediate answer to all Syrian gunfire onto the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights, adding the Damascus regime is and will be held responsible. His remarks come shortly after Israeli troops in the area fired at a Syrian army post in response to earlier attacks. The army said gunfire hit several military vehicles traveling in the same area last night, causing damage but no casualties. The Secretary of State John Kerry has made a surprise trip to Baghdad to push Iraq for more help over the conflict in Syria. Kerry will meet Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, Parliament Speaker Oussama al-Nujaifi, and press Iraqi officials for greater cooperation on isolating the regime of embattled Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Washington has accused Baghdad of turning a blind eye as Iran sends military equipment through Iraqi airspace, flights which Tehran insists transport only humanitarian supplies. Now we take a look at news around the world in brief. Rebels in Central African Republic seized control of the country's capital, Bangui, forcing President Francois Bozize to flee into the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo. President said heavy weapons fire erupted across the city early this morning. The Seleka rebel coalition resumed hostilities this week, accusing the president of breaking a January peace agreement to integrate the coalition's fighters into the army. Police cordoned off the house of self-exiled Russian tycoon Boris Berezovsky after he was found dead at his home in Britain. Berezovsky, a Russian oligarch who helped broker President Vladimir Putin's rise to the Kremlin's top job only to become his sworn enemy, died at the age of 67 in unclear circumstances. Police say they were conducting a number of searches as a precaution. And Pope Francis celebrates Palm Sunday in Mass at St. Peter's Square, filled with thousands of people waving olive branches and palm fronds. The new pontiff arrived in an uncovered vehicle to start Solemn Holy Week ceremonies, which lead up to Easter, Christianity's most important day. Francis wore bright red robes over a white cassock and presided over the Mass, attended by cardinals and thousands of faithful. And a bakery in New York City is selling a one-of-a-kind chocolate Easter egg standing 3 feet tall, worth $1,000 US. The edible chocolate egg, made entirely out of pure dark Venezuelan chocolate called criollo, was labored by chocolate technicians from Paris. The Angry Birds-inspired egg will help usher in Easter Sunday. And coming up next, we continue with our exclusive interview with director and actress Nadine Labake. Stay with us. Welcome back. In part 2 of our exclusive interview with actress-director Nadine Labake, she talks to us about her second big feature film, Where Do We Go Now?, and the importance of dreaming big.
And the clashes that you talk about between Eastern and Western societies were shown in your second movie, which was Where Do We Go Now?, which at the Toronto International Film Festival won the Cadillac People's Choice Awards. And you tackled a very delicate issue, which is the issue of religion. So what made you defy the odds and speak about such a sensitive issue?
It was a sort of a cry for help. It was at a time where things happened in Lebanon. It was in May 2008.
You found out you were pregnant?
And not only because I found out it happened that I found out that I was pregnant, but the most absurd thing happened in Lebanon. And we were in an apparent peace for over 2 decades. And then a clash happened between 2 political parties. And then all of a sudden, people were on the streets again, over hours, with weapons. And we really thought we were on the verge of a new civil war. And this happened over hours. It's not only something that, we felt coming. Over hours, the roads were closed. People were wearing masks in the streets with rifles and weapons. And when you see such absurdity, I think you cannot help but want to talk about it, or somehow maybe want to, express your point of view, not only as a mother or as a woman, but as a human being. You feel the responsibility. What am I doing to stop this? Or should I be doing something to stop? Do I have the power to stop this? Or do I have a say in what's happening? And it happens that I'm a woman. It happened that I'm a woman and that I was pregnant at that time.
You once said, quote, "I thought my son was now 18, and what if he was 18 and tempted to join the fight and take the burden of protecting his family? Because it is always tempting, especially for young men. What would I do as a mother to stop him?"
Maybe it makes me believe as a filmmaker that what is happening could have really happened, could have been true. that these people are not acting, they are being themselves in a certain situation. I don't like the word acting. For me, it's what I try to ask them is just be themselves in certain situations. And that's why there's a lot of improvisation also in the film. There's a lot of things that are not written. I like to be open to also what life gives me, what these amazing also human beings are able to give me. And this is how I choose them. It's really love at first sight. It's their characters, it's the way they talk, the way they move, their accent, the way they answer a question. And this is why I choose them. I don't ask them to act
or audition.
Or no, I just film them. They come, okay, we talk, and then there's something that draws my attention in their personality, and then I start filming them, and we talk more, and then we try things, and that's how I choose them.
Many of the actors that work with you are first-time actors, and I know you said that brings a lot of genuinity and honesty to the movie. So why do you deal with first-time actors and not more experienced ones?
Wake up to my responsibility as a human being in this world and see how can I, with the fact that I'm a woman and I am a mother, how can I somehow try to stop what's happening, or at least lower the consequences. And so we decided to write this film, and it became, of course, the clashes were not in Lebanon, it was not between Christians and Muslims, but then I wanted to talk about conflicts in general. And it's not only a conflict between Christians and Muslims, it's a conflict between human beings in general. It could have been between, two races, or
which is why you didn't really assign it to Lebanon.
Yes, that's why you don't know in the film where it happens, when it happens. Right. And because I wanted it to be more universal, because I think this fear of the other, because they don't look like us, or they have different rituals, or they have a different skin color, or they have a different way of dressing, or they have different beliefs, is not only here. It's everywhere in the world. You feel it everywhere in the world. There's a fear of the other.
Do you think that people like yourself, especially for the new generation, can inspire people who may be very pessimistic about the opportunities in Lebanon to be better, to have a dream?
I'm still a little bit naive in the sense that everybody can change the world. Every one of us.
Yeah.
Every one of us can change the world. The problem is we don't believe in it anymore. We're too fatalistic. Everybody has this, what are we going to change? What am I going to do? How am I going to make a difference? We have this fatalistic way of being as Lebanese people. And we don't believe that we can do something. We don't believe that we can change anything. And if every one of us started believing that in our own field, in what we know, we can make a difference, I think we can be able to make a difference. But we have to believe in it. We have to believe that each one of us can make a small difference, and these small differences can add up, and we can make a change in this world, in our country. I don't know what it is that makes us think that nothing is possible. Like I told you, because we are Lebanese, we have to stop believing that. And we have to stop believing that we are, this, I don't know how you say it, la théorie du complot means that we think that because we are Lebanese, we are mharabin. I don't know how you say it. Everywhere we go,
we have to fight.
That not we have to. That people fight us because we are Lebanese, or they don't. Sorry, or they don't give us a chance. They don't give us a chance because we are Lebanese. It's not true. It's not true. It's not true at all. All we have to do is just believe in what we're doing, do things with heart, and do things to perfection as much as we can. And things can happen.
Because the limitations start in your head.
It starts in your head, and it's don't don't be afraid to dream big. Don't be afraid to dream big, because anything is possible. Just be innocent enough or idealistic enough to believe in your dream. And if you plan it, and if you do it one step at a time, and have avoir du bon sens, yani have common sense. Common sense is just, common sense is just amazing, because it makes you deal with everything around you wisely. Anything and everything around you.
On that note, we end our bulletin for today. Let me remind you of today's top stories. Interior Minister Marwan Sharbi says the situation in Tripoli is improving as the army deploys following intense clashes in the city. Syria's opposition chief Ahmad Muaz al-Khatib resigns from the National Coalition. And Pope Francis opens the Holy Week as thousands gather at St. Peter's Square to attend his Palm Sunday Mass. Those are your Sunday headlines live on Future Television. In Beirut, I'm Yumna Nofad, wishing you all a happy Palm Sunday and have a great week ahead.
14 أذار حتى نحقق الحرية التي ننشدها جميعا.